All right. Well, thank you, let me turn my video on and start the recording. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us for another edition of Smart with Your Money Live. Today we're talking why renting is not a waste of money. Um, there's often you hear it all the time. You're paying someone else's mortgage. You're not making any money. Lots of different things that go along with renting, but there are some positives to it, and I think it's important to highlight those and realize that it is not a waste of money. First and foremost, it's hard to call it a waste of money. It's putting a roof over your head. You're purchasing somewhere to live, somewhere to, for yourself and or your family. So that in itself, if you're looking at something like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that's pretty far down there on the importance level is somewhere to live, right? So that in itself is in essence not a waste of money. But when you compare it to home ownership is really, I think, where the comparison comes into play. So I wouldn't say that renting is ever um, a waste of money because you have to live somewhere. So kind of consider it, look at it that way. So we'll get started. Biggest thing, and I think the reason most people will rent is renting is often cheaper. Um, in most areas, renting is cheaper than buying a home, than paying a mortgage. And this will allow you flexibility. It allows, we'll go over all the different things that it allows you along with it. But if you're, it helps live with increased cost of living. Inflation and prices have been on the rise on just about everything. So renting will, keeping that housing expense lower. Because it's cheaper, it may allow you to live in parts of the country, parts of your neighborhood, your town, whatever, that you may want to live in that you couldn't necessarily afford to buy in. And it'll give you the ability to take on lots of different things. Maybe it'll help you in your debt payoff journey. Throw a little bit more money into your credit card debts. It can help with, I'll touch on more things, but it's just cheaper for so many different reasons, and I'll go over them here in a little bit, but often cheaper than purchasing a home. Flexibility, it increases your flexibility. You can move. Different job opportunity pops up, across town. You don't want to make that commute, you can move across town. If different job opportunity arises in a different state, different country, whatever it is, it allows you more flexibility to be able to pick up your things, get yourself a U-Haul, and just move. You don't have that same easy flexibility if you're a homeowner. Obviously, you could put the home on the market and rent it. You could put the home on the market and sell it. But that's a lot harder than just going down, giving your notice to the property manager and loading up your things and heading out. It also allows for different flexibility. Maybe you don't want to stay in whatever town you're in for more than a year, for 6 months, whatever the case may be. And you can go ahead and you could do a year's lease. Some places will allow you, not so much when there's high demand for rent. Oftentimes after the year, you can go like month to month. You may pay more, but that flexibility to just get up and go is going to be key with renting, where you don't get that same flexibility once you're a homeowner. And you got property taxes. Well, when you're renting, you don't have property taxes. If you're a homeowner, you will pay property taxes. Oftentimes those are rolled into an escrow. So you get the little bill and you don't actually have to send the money. You've been paying it through your mortgage, and escrow pays for it. You don't pay for it yourself, but it is money that you're paying. It's part of your mortgage payment on a monthly basis. When you're renting, you don't pay property taxes. It's part of the owner, the landlord's finances, but not yours. You don't have to pay that property tax. We got our first property after we bought our house. You get the first one in the mail. You're like, that's a giant number. Please tell me that's the one that's included in the mortgage, right? Because otherwise, holy moly. Um, so you don't have to deal with property taxes. Also, when you're a renter, you save on insurance, on homeowners insurance. Homeowners insurance, again, built into the escrow, built into your monthly mortgage, usually. And when you're a renter, you don't have to pay that big of an insurance. I do recommend if you're renting to go out and get yourself some renter's insurance, because in the event that something happens in your apartment, in your rental home, whatever the case may be, the building itself, the structure, that kind of thing is covered by the landlord's insurance. But your things aren't necessarily, they're not going to be covered. Your TV, any, jewelry that you may have, your computer, whatever it has, your golf clubs, whatever you have of value, your property is not going to be covered in the event of some kind of flood, fire, whatever it may be. So get yourself some renter's insurance. Now, compared to homeowners insurance, renter's insurance is really cheap. Oftentimes you can get it through whoever you get your car insurance, and it's just a little add-on. Less than $1 a day usually, especially if you don't have a lot of things. So look into renter's insurance if you don't already have it, but much cheaper than homeowners insurance. Also, when you rent, you don't have an HOA. You don't have HOA fees. You don't have Melrose or all those different fees that may come into play if you're a homeowner. Some places have multiple HOAs. I don't quite understand how you have multiple HOAs, but you do. And along with the potential rules that come with it, there's a fee, and sometimes they're really high, the HOA fees. So definitely want to, and this is condos, but it's also homes that have HOAs and communities. You don't have to deal with that when you're a renter. You just pay your rent. One of the things with renting, kind of like sum it all up, is when you rent, your rent payment is as much as you're going to pay. When you're a homeowner, your mortgage is the least you're going to pay because all these other things pop up. If you're a renter, a lot of things can pop up, but you don't have to pay extra for them. All these that I'm going to go over. If you're a homeowner, things pop up, HOA fees go up, repairs, that kind of thing. You've got to come out of pocket for those. So your mortgage is your starting point if you're a homeowner. Your rent is your ending point if you're a renter. So you don't have to stress about having extra money, set aside for different reasons if you're a renter. Also, not always, but if you're a renter, especially if you're at an apartment complex or things like that, you may have extra amenities built in. These happen to be like really nice. I've never been in an apartment complex, at least not around my part of town, that have pool table and game room like this, but they're out there. The extra amenities, you might have a community room. Your apartment complex may have a pool, things that you may not be able to have in your own home, or for at anywhere near that same price point. You could have gyms, workout rooms, things of that nature. Might be able to cancel your gym membership. So there are some extra amenities available. Again, this isn't going to be at all apartment complexes, but I know the one we were at before we got our place, they had a pool. That was pretty much the extra amenity, which is cool. You got kids and they want to go play in the pool. We didn't have like a community room or a gym or anything like that. There was an on-site laundry room or laundry mat thing. That's an amenity, even though you still have to pay for it. But it's going to vary in areas and by price points on what amenities you're going to be able to get, but they are there. Depending on where you live, rent can come with rent control, meaning the laws that are put in place limiting what your landlord can do in the form of increasing your rent payment from year to year. Someone said that's the greatest benefit to find renting in my apartment is building has a gym, pool, lounge, laundry, and apartment laundry. Yeah, yeah, all the services, needed are made, they're yeah, absolutely. It's free. You got a pool, a gym, a lounge. That's really cool. You got a good one. And each one's gonna vary. I've seen some, even in some areas where the apartment wasn't maybe the fanciest of apartments and not the most expensive, where they have like a little game room, a dartboard, a pool table, things like that. And it's like, that's pretty cool. It's an added benefit, and you don't have to maintain any of it. You don't have to worry about maintaining the pool or checking its pH levels or whatever it is pool owners got to do. They have someone come out and do it for you, and that's really cool. And in some places you may have rent control, limiting how much your rent can jump up from year to year. The states with, rent control is more prominent: California, New York, New Jersey, Maryland, Maine, Oregon, and Minnesota, and DC. Oregon and California are the only two states that have like a statewide rent control laws, and those started in 2019. But there are 37 states that either prohibit or deter rent control. So, it's going to vary depending on where you live. But rent control could mean that there's a limit to how much your rent can increase on a yearly basis. Obviously, there's ways around that landlords may find, but it's some kind of protection for the renter, and could keep the cost of living. That's one of the drawbacks to renting is your rent will increase over time. And unlike a mortgage, if it's a 30-year fixed mortgage, for example, the mortgage isn't increasing. The rent will. So rent is especially good in the short term because it will be lower. But with rent control in place, you may be able to, it may limit how high your rent can get. Again, that's going to vary by state, location. Even within states, some cities may enact more strict measures. And there's no landscaping. You're at an apartment, you don't have to worry about mowing the lawn. You don't have to worry about whatever landscaping issues you may have. You just enjoy whatever landscaping they have in place. Now, that may not be the one you want, but you don't have to deal with it. You don't have to deal with any of the landscaping. It's all taken care of, which is an advantage, especially compared to like somewhere if you have like your own yard and you're out there having to mow it an hour every weekend doing plucking weeds or whatever the case may be, or just the cost of maintaining it. Having water can get expensive. We're out here in San Diego, so Southern California has some we had a few drought years, and water prices are high. And if you're out there having to water your lawn or trees or whatever you have, that could add up. It doesn't add up when you're at an apartment. This one I didn't know. Again, being in Southern California, I never really thought of it. But as I was doing my research for this presentation, I realized that in other parts of the country where snow is a thing, the shoveling of snow is often taken care of by the landlord. I don't know if that applies if you're like renting a house, but if your apartment complex or something like that is in a snow area, I was reading that oftentimes the snow shoveling is something the landlord has to do. I'm sure they hire it out. They don't do it themselves, but that's an added benefit. I've can honestly say I've never had to shovel snow. I've been in snow. I've driven in snow. I'd go snowboarding when I was younger, but never had to actually shovel snow. But I hear it's terrible. I have family in Chicago, and I hear it's not fun. So it could be a good benefit to not have to take care of that. So, it kind of, there's a lot, there's something jarred my memory when I was doing the no landscaping. It's along with the, all the benefits of the not plowing snow, things like regular maintenance, appliances, apparently not everywhere you rent gives you all the appliances. Check LA County, for example. I mean, it's right up the road from us. And when I was reading it, I thought it was completely ridiculous. In Los Angeles County, again, it's right up the road from us. But most of the time when you rent, it also includes all your major appliances, whatever appliances are in the facility, whether it's a washer and dryer in your unit, the refrigerator, dishwasher, food extractor, heater, air conditioning, all those big appliances, they're included in your rent. So is the maintenance. So if you're a homeowner, your refrigerator gives up, it's a pain. Let me know. I've had my refrigerator break a couple times. Every time it somehow managed to get repaired. But that falls on the homeowners. The renter, I always joke with my wife, like, this refrigerator is probably 30 years newer than the one we had in our apartment. In 5 years we were in that apartment, never had one issue with that old yellowish colored refrigerator. And now we got this nice refrigerator that has technology and whatnot, and it breaks down all the time. But if something breaks in your apartment, if one of the pipes burst, if your stove stops working. We did have that happen at our apartment. The stove just was not cooperating. It gets replaced. It gets replaced free of charge. You submit a ticket online or send an email or walk down to the property manager's office or whatever the case may be, and you can get your appliances fixed. And depending on where you live, the speed at which that happens can vary, but it doesn't cost you any money, and it's not something you have to worry about. You don't have to put money away for a new refrigerator. You don't have to put money away to fix that leaky faucet or whatever the case may be. You just put in a little ticket or submit however it is your property does it. Go online, submit a incident or whatever, and it gets taken care of. It's super easy to do usually, and it's free, which is the best part. And that's one of the biggest advantages of renting, is you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about your needing a new roof. Eventually it's going to need a new roof, but that's not your responsibility. The gutters break, you just, again, submit a thing and have someone come out and fix it at no cost to you. That's a huge benefit, because you don't have to have as big of an emergency fund. Now, I always encourage you to have an emergency fund, because we all have financial emergencies that are coming for all of us, and they're not all housing related. They be vehicle related. They could be dropping your phone, cracking the screen, whatever it may be. But there are financial emergencies coming for all of us. So do put away money for an emergency, even if you're renting, but you don't have to have an emergency fund for your appliances, for your home maintenance, for that kind of thing. You could put that towards other financial emergencies or other financial situations that may have, whether it's paying down your debt, whether it's whatever it is that you're trying to do, reaching whatever your financial goals happen to be. Because if the refrigerator breaks, they're going to get you a new one. If your AC unit breaks, they're going to fix it, and it's not going to cost you any money. So that's a huge benefit to the pool breaks. Just hope it's not during a heat wave. and they fix it really quick and before you need it. So that's a huge one with renting, a huge benefit. And that slide just kind of disappeared. So I was like, wait, where'd it go? So then you hear the counter argument, but what about net worth? Because you do hear oftentimes a homeowner's net worth is much higher than a renter's net worth. And that is, you'll see the stats, it's true. How do you combat that? And the answer is that lower rent amount allows you room for investing. It allows you to pay down debts if you have it. And then once those debts are paid off, you can start long-term financial investing and have your money grow for you. So you're saving money compared to having a mortgage, but it's how you're spending that money that will affect the net worth scenario. So if you want to counter that, yes, I'm renting, but my net worth isn't increasing. The money that you're saving compared to being a homeowner, if you can, put that in an investment and long term. Obviously, talk to a financial planner. I'm not going to tell you where to go invest. That's not me. I'm not a certified financial planner, but they're out there. And talk to them and come up with a long-term financial plan so that money that you're saving, that money that you're not having to put away for emergency repairs, that money that you're saving when an appliance breaks. I remember at our apartment, they'd even cover the light bulbs. If any of the, not your like lamps, but if any of the light bulbs for any of that's built into the building was covered, you just call them up, they'd come over and you put a new light bulb in, which was kind of cool. I didn't really think of how cool it was until I had to do my own light bulbs, and I was like, these things break all the time, or they stop working all the time. But if you put that money away and you allow that money to start working for you, that can kind of reverse and take care of that net worth gap. Obviously, that's not always going to be a possibility, and sometimes renting is more out of necessity, but renting and maybe putting money away for that home buying opportunity down the road can go a long way as well. So it's just important to have that in the back of your mind. It's not a waste of money, again, because you need a place to live. And that is one of the most important things, is to have a place to live that's safe and reliable. So renting does provide that. And it allows you that flexibility, like I said, less financial responsibilities, less responsibilities in general. So if you're renting, that's fine. It also allows you, it's less of a startup cost. Often, buying a house, making a home purchase is expensive. You need to save up a lot of money, down payment, closing cost, escrow, all those different things cost money, lots of money in some corners of the country like ours. Renting is moving in when you're a renter. You may have to pay if you're leaving early from like a lease or renter's termination thing. If you're leaving before your year is up, you may have to pay a security deposit and maybe first and last month or things like that. But it's a lot less of a startup cost than home buying. So there are definitely benefits to renting. That's it for me. Any questions? If you're watching this on Facebook, please feel free to drop the questions on there. Our little relay is down, so I won't get them live, but I can definitely, we'll definitely get to them after the fact as well. And if you're on social media, but you don't follow us yet, on Instagram and Twitter, we're at SDFLC. We're on TikTok now, s.d.finlit. I promise no dancing videos. And on YouTube, and Facebook, San Diego Financial Literacy Center. I try and do daily tips on something personal finances. Sometimes they're a little more silly than others. I try and make them entertaining and hopefully interactive. You guys want to drop a comment on there from time to time. That'd be cool too. But yeah, daily little personal finance tip. And no more swim lives for the year. This is the last one for 2023. That's crazy thing. It's a crazy thing for me to say, it feels like. We will be back next year with a whole new list of topics. So we're going to work in December on putting together that list of topics for 2023. If you have any suggestions on topics, drop them in the chat, comment them, and we can look into scheduling some of those. But it'll be on Eventbrite again, where you found this, and it'll have well, thank you, Linda. Yeah, you don't often get the pros of renting. You often get the pros of home ownership, which are real as well. But one situation, and that's the cool thing about personal finances that people often forget, they're personal. It's not one size fits all. And that's the problem I have with social media is I put a little video out there. It's not going to apply to everyone. I say open up your windows to get some nice airflow going, and I get comments from someone who's living in Georgia in the summer, like that's not going to help. I know, I understand that it's very hot and humid and the bugs are ginormous, but it's different in every part of the country. So not, like the snow one, that was new to me. I didn't know what was going on. Someone said, could you guys make a talk about home ownership tips, cost, and whatnot? Absolutely. I will add home ownership to our list of potential topics, and we'll definitely cover it in 2024. So that keep your eye out for that one. And yeah, so that is it. Thank you for joining us, everyone. I hope this was a educational and at least a little entertaining presentation. And we hope to see you back next year in January when we start the whole new year worth of them. Someone's burdened with that knowing hierarchy. When someone is burdened with that, knowing the hierarchy of applying very limited funds. Yeah, like limited funds to paying off debt. I think we've covered a similar one to that. If you check out the Debt Wave Credit Counseling YouTube and or Facebook, you can find all the previous, or on the Debt Wave, debtwave.org, you'll find the swim live, and it's got a list of our previous one. We have had a similar one, but we can definitely look at covering that in 2024 as well. So thank you. I like those. Now that makes my job easier. There's two for next year that I don't know if we have one on. Someone asked, do you guys have something there for how much to save? I believe we've done one of those as well. I don't know if it was 2023 or 2022, but I think we have done that one. Yeah. Yeah, so if you check out debtwave.org and you find the swim live, it'll have a list of all the different topics we've done, and then the list will link you to the YouTube recording of all these presentations. Feel free to drop on Facebook, whether it's the Debt Wave one or the SDFLC, any other topics you could think of, and we'd be happy to try and cover them. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.